Hello, everyone. I can recognize Hamza from Facebook, and also I can recognize Reddy from LinkedIn. Thanks for joining. So like Steph said, today is going to be a Q&A where we'll be discussing about how to build a thriving career in DevOps and software engineering, some tips around personal branding and how you can attract opportunities and stand out as a DevOps or software engineer. So yeah, so like I said, it's a Q&A. So I'll be doing more of the explanations while you'll be doing more of the asking. So if you have any questions or any worries around those areas, feel free to let us know. Yeah. So if you want to talk, you can raise your hand, and then I'll give you the floor to be able to ask your question, so that there will be some order in the way we talk. Oh yes, yes. Whose hand is up? It could be anything, any question, and there's no stupid question. Any question is very good. No stupid question. Second year in the university, that's Faculty of Engineering and Technology, University of Boya. So I was interested in web development. So I was building websites, web applications, and then I was curious to be able to see how I can host my website so that people could be able to see. So out of that curiosity, I had to go in search of hosting platforms, web hosting platforms, where I could be able to deploy my website, or to host my website, so that people could be able to see what I can do. Because while in school, I was the guy, one of the guys who loved seeing how applicable what I'm learning is in real life. So each time we were after school, I would be able to go back to the house and then try to see how I can implement what I've been able to study. And then each time I do that, I try to send pictures of that to my family members, and then some friends who were in the US and all of that. So out of that curiosity, again, in the course of doing research, I said, okay, fine. What would I do so that I'm able to host the websites that I build, so that anybody anywhere can be able to access it? So I began searching. So when I searched for web hosting platforms, I ran into GoDaddy and Hostinger at the time. So when in the course of trying to get hosting for my website, and then I couldn't buy the hosting because I did not have a credit card at that time. So that was when I had now to look for local hosting platforms, local web hosting platforms that that offered web hosting services that I could be able to buy, that would allow me to pay through mobile money. Since at that time, all I had was a mobile money account. So in the course of searching, I ran into one of my a Facebook, that's a WhatsApp group, where one guy was selling web hosting services. So out of curiosity, I had to message him I sent him a DM, say, hey bro, I see that you are selling hosting. How do I pay to be able to host my website? So the guy, he now replied immediately, say, okay, to be able to host your website, you need to pay 20,000 for 1 year. But since you're hosting just a plain HTML, CSS, JavaScript website, which is basically just a static website with no database, you are going to pay 15,000 francs per year. So out of excitement, I had to pay that. Now after sending the money to him, I sent him a zip file of my code. So at that time, he never understood how the recoding how coding works. He just understood how to manipulate the cPanel. But when it comes to manipulating tools like GitHub, Git, he did not know. He had no knowledge about that, and then he understood WordPress very well. So immediately when I sent him a zip file containing all of my HTML, CSS code and folders and files, all he did was that he just took that, and then he had bought a shared hosting space. So he just went there and then created a domain, another domain, and then added my website to it. And that was it. My website was up and running. I had a live website I was able to share. So now, in a bit to know more about the process, I began reading, studying. Then I was asking him a lot of questions. So out of that conversation I had with him, he saw that I was determined and I was somebody who was very smart. So he decided that okay, we should start a web hosting company. So that was when he understood more of the business side, why I was a technical person. So I went into digging how servers work, how Ubuntu servers work, how to set up servers, how to configure servers, and then also how SSH works, and then how basically no system works. So I went to research, and then I was able to come up with that. I was able to have a deep understanding of how that works. So we're able to get some Ubuntu servers, and then we provision, and then we built a platform that people could be able to buy hosting and then buy domains. But now the challenge that we had was that of payment collections. That was when I met my mentor, my friend Cedric, who's my mentor. So I met him at that time. He was the only person who had built a module that could integrate HMCS, which is a billing software that is used for hosting, to be able to accept more money payments. So I got to see with him, show him how that module works, and then I was able to create my own module to buy hosting. That's people in the local markets, that's Cameroonians, buy hosting, pay for money, pay via mobile money, and then buy their domain names, get them activated instantly. So that was how my journey into cloud and cloud and DevOps engineering started. And then from there we ran the business. We were able to grow. The business such that we're able to attract up to about within a space of 6 months, we're able to attract 65 clients. So imagine being in school and being able to run a business of that nature, and then being able to apply your skills practically with what you're learning in school. So it was really amazing. And since then, I've been able to grow in my skills as a DevOps engineer, solving real life engineering problems on daily basis, utilizing the skills that I've been able to harness over the years. And I keep improving daily. And there's a lot to learn. I keep learning new things on daily basis. Yeah. So in a nutshell, that was how I got into DevOps and cloud as a whole. So while waiting for a question, I mean, there are just a few tips around growing your career as a DevOps cloud engineer. So particularly when it comes to job hunting, there are a few things that recruiters look out for when recruiting or when doing recruitment. So as a DevOps engineer or a software engineer, if you want to stand out from recruiters, you need to be able to have something that you have built that you can showcase as a project, because that's your proof of experience. So you cannot just come and tell me that okay, you have 5 years of experience, and then I tell you okay, what project have you worked on, and you cannot tell me exactly what you have been able to do or what impact you've been able to create. So it's all about building impactful projects and then contributing to projects, because that's your proof of experience, and that's the proof to show that you are skilled. And okay, I think I'll answer this question. So how do you position yourself to get jobs from companies abroad? Okay, perfect. And then also, and how did you get your first remote job? Okay, my first, I'll start with the second question. My first remote job was through recommendation. Yeah, so I got my first remote job. I was working for a company in the US, Maryland. So that was in 2020. I was recommended by my computer science teacher in secondary school. So he recommended me throughout my high school and secondary school. I was a very serious student. I was dedicated. I was devoted to studies. So that was how I was able to get that recommendation. So it all points out to your person, your personality. You should be a person who is dedicated towards his or her cause. So when you start doing something, make sure you're dedicated. And then also, if you should make sure that you're a person of value also, because only valuable people get recommendation. If you're not valuable, you don't get recommended. And then also, I will now answer the second question. Say, how do you position yourself to get jobs from companies abroad? I would say LinkedIn. LinkedIn has been my main major source. And in all honesty, since I started my career, I've not had to beg recruiters. I've had recruiters instead beg me to work for them. Like all of my jobs that I've gotten, I've had recruiters reach out to me, and they all reached out via LinkedIn, and that was because of my profile. That's what's called social media profiling. When you're able to profile yourself, you're able to position yourself for opportunities. Always actively engage on your social media, particularly LinkedIn, where you share your experiences, you share your knowledge about what you're working on, about your projects, about the progress of your projects, the setbacks that you have. You stand to gain trust from recruiters. Recruiters will start to see you as somebody who knows how to get things done. And once you position yourself as somebody who gets things done, recruiters will be drawn to you, and that's how you get opportunities. Yeah, so that's how you position yourself to get international jobs. And then also, you should also make sure that you always have your projects and CV handy, so that if recruiters want to discuss about your experience, you're discussing your experience back to projects that you have executed. For example, the recruiter may be talking to you about your experience with Docker. You should not just go explaining to the recruiter about how Docker works. You should go tell the recruiter a scenario where you use Docker to solve a problem in your infrastructure setup. If you're talking about Kubernetes, you should not be discussing Kubernetes from the point of how Kubernetes works, how ports work, how manifest files work. You should be able to discuss how you're able to scale an application using Kubernetes. And then when you discuss from a point of impact, that's how you get recruiters drawn to you, and that's how you increase your chances of getting a job or of landing a job. Yeah. So I don't know if your question is being answered properly, Loe. Anybody has any question? Hamza, Boris. Perfect. That's a very good one, Joshi. Yeah. So there's a lot of competition, right? The competition is very wild, and that's why in order for you to beat the competition, you must build your career around evidence. That's the first thing. Build your career around evidence. By evidence, I mean proof that you're experienced. You should not walk up to an interview from a point of with no projects that you've been able to carry out, or with no project that you have done so far. You should carry at least, as a DevOps engineer, as somebody applying for DevOps SRC roles, you should have been able to execute at least 5 portfolio projects that you can showcase that makes you different from other people. Because now other people apply for jobs just with their shiny CVs and resumes. But the difference now between you and other people is now evidence that you have to show that your experience. And that evidence is your projects that you've been able to carry out. Some detailed articles or documentation that you have written that showcases your depth about a particular technology. Those are that also encompasses or compounds to your evidence that showcases that your experience. So I would say that for you to stand out and be different from others in 2025, you should build your career around evidence. You should build an evidence-driven career. That's in short form how you can stand out from the crowd. Is that okay? Yes. Currently, in my current organization, we are using a lot of tools, but I will name just about five or six. Currently, we are using Docker Swarm. We are using Nexus for managing all of our libraries. and then we're also using SonarQube for testing of our code quality. Then we are also using Prometheus. Then we're also using Grafana for monitoring our metrics. And then by metrics, I mean memory storage, and then also spikes, memory spikes as well. And then we are also using Sentry, which is a tool to track errors, application errors in real time. And then also we are also using Google Charts, where we send errors, prod errors in real time. Yes, for security, for security, we are currently using some tools due to some reasons. I cannot mention the exact tool, but for security, for security, there are a couple of tools that we are using to make sure that all our infrastructure setups are properly secured. Yeah, but then there are a lot of tools that I used previously in securing pipelines and also securing applications. Like for example, you can also use SonarQube for that. You can also use there's a tool called Checkmarks, and then also there's another tool called what's the name of that tool again? SameGrep. Yeah, SameGrep. Yeah. So those are some security tools that I've used before. Is that okay for you? Ready? That's good. For me, all my jobs that I've landed, even though I have a certification, that's AWS DevOps Engineer certification, but then I've never used that certification before. So for me, in all honesty, certification has more or less limited impact in your, particularly if you're looking for DevOps infrastructure platform engineering roles. You would hardly have people, recruiters asking for certification. Your questions are going to be geared around mastery of specific tools and technologies, and how you can be able to manage infrastructures and alerts, particularly and incidents. Yes, so that's basically what they look out for. So certifications are good, but it's a nice to have. It's a nice to have, but then it's not compulsory. It's not a blocker for you. Yeah. So it's all about your experience. It's all about your proof. That's evidence to show that you are experienced, right? Like I said, recruiters are not interested in seeing that or knowing that you know tools. What problems have you solved with those tools? How can you use those tools to solve problems? Their day-to-day problems that they have. So that's how you grow in your career. Having a problem solving mindset instead of just cramming tools. Knowing how to use the tools is very important. Oh no. I think I stopped talking for a few seconds. Yeah. I'm waiting for the next question. Anybody has any more questions? Okay. Yeah, of course. There's a difference. There are differences that exist between these platforms, but then mostly they offer the same. They're all out to solve the same problems. The difference may be in the way setups are being done on a deeper level, but they are all aimed at solving the same problem. So, like for example, if you're using a tool like Terraform, you can provision a Terraform environment to deploy to AWS. You can also provision your Terraform environment to deploy to GCP. You can also use Azure DevOps also. So yeah. So basically, there are differences between them, but they're all out to solve the same problem. Now, the difference between them now has to do on the architecture level. For example, if you're setting up a server, for example, on AWS, you're going to have an EC2 instance, right? On GCP, you're going to have VMs, that's virtual machines. That's how it is called. And then on Azure, you're going to probably maybe have an Azure instance. Yeah, so they basically just mean different things, but now they all serve the same purpose, right? Because with AWS EC2 instance, you can deploy your application there. You can set up your Docker, set up your Python, Node.js, and do your installations for your application that you need, your dependencies. Same on the GCP machine, virtual machine. You can do that as well. So, but now all of them solve one problem. But now, when it comes to how it works behind the scenes, it's a bit different. And how you have to set it up based on the cloud environment that you are, or the cloud platform that you are. Did I answer your question? Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's a good one. How do you ensure zero downtime deployments in production? I mean, uh, you can do that by setting up a blue-green deployment strategy. You can set up a blue-green deployment strategy. You can also set up a that's by you can also set up alerts. You can set up alerts also that will ensure that before an issue gets to the users, for example, you are able to get notified earlier before the issue escalates, and then so that before some users are able to see it, you must have resolved it already. Yeah. So that's how you ensure. Those are some of the ways that you can use to ensure a zero downtime deployment. And then also you can also set up more like release strategies with rollbacks, where for example, if you do a deployment for a particular, if you do a release and do a deployment, you can, from that release, you can always roll back to the previous release. You can always roll back if there's an issue in the course of the deployment. You can roll back to the previous deployment, and then that will be that issue will be sorted out, and your system will be working. Is that okay?